Hey, what is going on guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the 10 pick or ban champions for patch 7.20. So the first champion here we're going to take a look at is probably the best jungler right now, or I'm going to say she is the best jungler right now in Sejuani. So I just think there's not too many other junglers in this current patch that can actually compete with Sejuani. She's one of the best junglers for a few different reasons. The first one being that the amount of crowd control that this champion possesses and the ability for her to just single-handedly win fights due to her insane CC makes her a very strong pick. You don't even really need to do too much in the early game with this champion. Her team fighting is so strong that as long as you don't fall super far behind in the early game, then the chances of winning mid-game team fights is really high with this pick. She's got great pick potential in her kit with her ultimate. She's got a point and click stun in her kit, which is always going to be very influential because it doesn't take a lot of skill at all to proc that, and you could just very easily lock down targets during team fights. So I think that overall right now, Sejuani should be your #1 ban in this patch, or your #1 priority as to what champion you should be looking to pick, because I just think there's not too many other picks right now that are stronger than this champion. So next up here, we're going to take a look at all 4 of these champions at once because they kind of fall into the same category as to why they're in this video. So these champions include Lulu, Janna, Soraka, and Sona, and I don't think it's really too much of a surprise as to why these picks are on here. Ardent Sensor is still strong right now in 7.20, and I can't believe I'm really saying that because this item has just been way too strong for multiple patches, and Riot's just not doing anything about it. They're not hitting it with a decent nerf. They're giving it these changes that are basically buffing it. Like, I'm pretty sure in 7.19 the changes were more of a buff than a nerf, and it really didn't affect the item at all. So I would like to see in these coming patches Ardent Sensor get hit with a bigger nerf, because if it doesn't, then these support champions here are going to stay meta for quite some time. Once you get the Ardent Sensor, it doesn't even matter how well you do in the early game. If you're playing someone like a Blitzcrank, if you don't have that Ardent Sensor and the enemy support does, then you're pretty much gonna lose every team fight. You're gonna start losing 2v2s, and it's just a really stale bot lane meta right now. But if your main goal is to gain elo and to climb, then these 4 support picks are the strongest for this patch. Next up here on this list is going to be Azir, and I honestly don't think I've had Azir on any sort of list in multiple months or maybe even years, because this champion's been very weak for a long time. But in 7.19, after the buffs that he got, he's actually a very strong pick for this current patch. I think that if you can play Azir well right now, he is one of the best mid laners for 7.20, and this is more of a high elo picker ban because I don't think in the lower elos he is as influential, and I don't think that you should be prioritizing him as a ban if you are in like bronze or silver. But I think that if you're in the higher elos, if you're in diamond and above, then Azir is just a very influential pick. His ability to team fight very effectively, and just his ability to solo carry team fights if you can play it correctly, is pretty much better than any other mid laner right now. So I think that Azir is just a great pick for this patch. The only AD carry in this video is going to be Twitch, and Twitch right now is the strongest AD carry for 7.20. He's just a pick to where no matter how bad you do in the early game, no matter if you snowball or if you fall behind, if you manage to get to 3 items on Twitch, then you're just gonna win games flat out due to the fact that his team fighting with 3 items is the best for any AD carry. He has the ability to completely solo carry a game if his team ends up getting the right engage, and he just opens up with his ultimate. Once he's got IE, Runins, and like a static shiv, then he can just completely win team fights by himself. And not only that, but in the current meta right now, with these supports being played like the Jannas, the Sorakas, the Sonas, and with your tanky engaged supports, they just synergize great with Twitch, because with these tanks being played, it allows him to just open up during a team fight when they hit their crowd control. And then with these support champions being played, if he does end up getting engaged on or something, then he's going to be saved by his Janna ultimate or by his Sona ultimate. So overall, he's just a pretty low risk, high reward champion right now for 7.20. Another jungler on this list is going to be Ramus. In my opinion right now, Ramus is the best jungler for the lower elos especially, and even in the higher elos, I think he's a pretty strong jungle pick as well. He doesn't have too many weaknesses right now in his kit. He's a jungler that can clear the jungle pretty fast, he can gank effectively in the early game, he gets really tanky in the mid to late game, and he still does a lot of damage. So honestly, he's got most things that you want for a strong jungler in this current meta. And I think that he's just especially a great pick in the lower ranks because you're gonna see a lot of heavy AD compositions with these Yasuo top lanes and these Zed mid lanes, and it just allows the Ramus to build full armor. You're gonna do a ton of damage because he does scale, or his damage does scale with his armor, so he's gonna be pretty much unkillable. He's gonna one-shot squishy targets, and you're just gonna find a lot of freelo on this champion in this current patch, so he would be my jungle pick for the lower elos, especially for 7.20. The second mid laner here on this list is going to be Fizz. So I think that Fizz is probably one of the strongest AP assassins right now, and I feel like he's a very underrated pick in this current meta. We're seeing a lot of champions being played in the mid lane that don't fare too well against Fizz. So Orianna is the most picked mid lane champion in this patch, and Fizz can do very well in that matchup. You've also got Syndra, Lux, and Veigar. There are 4 champions, including Orianna there, that make up the 10 most picked mid laners for 7.20. So there's a lot of pretty good matchups right now that Fizz can look to get a really good snowball going up against in the laning phase, and then he can look to transition his lead into the bot lane or into the top lane. So if you are looking to play a good AP assassin right now, then Fizz is one of the better ones for this patch. And then the final mid laner here and the final champion to round out this video is going to be Caston. So if you're someone that's looking to play an AP mage in this patch, or if you do main AP mages, then Caston would probably be my highest priority ban for 7.20. He's so annoying to deal with if you are playing one of these AP mage champions, just because it's super hard to poke him out in the laning phase. He's a super strong scaling mid lane pick, so if you don't end up shutting him down in the early game, he's going to have an extremely good influence on the game once it does reach mid to late game. His 2 to 3 item spike is one of the best for any mid lane champions, and his ability to just side lane and split push is super good as well. So I'd be looking to ban out Caston if you are going to be playing an AP mage champion. So that is going to be all for this video. These are the 10 champions for patch 7.20 that I think are the most influential, and they're the champions that if they're left through the pick and ban phase and they end up getting into a game, then they're just going to have a lot more influence on that game than a lot of the other champions for this patch, and they're just champions that are overall very strong in this current meta. So that being said, guys, if you did enjoy the video, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching, guys. Have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.